recognize. The exciting tale of how the woolly mammoth was cunningly trapped and killed is really, as some listeners infer, a story about ridding themselves of their vicious leader. As cultures and societies everywhere augmented the scope and range of linguistic skills, the dynamics of expression and suppression became a key feature of human communication, and the history of thought and opinion became inseparable from the history of censorship. One of the most penetrating essays on reading between the lines appeared at a very dangerous moment, November 1941, just weeks before our declarations of war against Japan and Germany. The essay is Persecution and the Art of Writing by the classic scholar and political philosopher Leo Strauss, a German Jew who immigrated to the United States in 1937 and became a leading intellectual at the University of Chicago. Like another writer he knew with a shared background, Hannah Arendt, Strauss, unfortunately, is not as well known to literary students than he should be, and like many complex thinkers, he is largely misinterpreted politically. But it's not his narrower political or broader philosophical views I'm interested in here, but his contribution to literary studies. A truly independent thinker, Strauss maintains, who cannot be persuaded to accept orthodox or government-sponsored views, can nevertheless utter his views in public and remain unharmed, provided he moves with circumspection. Moreover, he can even utter them in print without incurring any danger, provided he is capable of writing between the lines. This common expression, he reminds us, is clearly metaphoric. To try to explain what writing between the lines means in unmetaphoric language, he argues, would lead to the discovery of a terra incognita, a field whose very dimensions are as yet unexplored, and which offers ample scope for highly intriguing and even important investigations. One may say without fear of being presently convicted of grave exaggeration that almost the only preparatory work to guide the explorer in this field is buried in the writings of the rhetoricians of antiquity. Strauss's thesis is that sanctioned persecution, whether by state, church, or prominent institutions, inevitably gives rise to a peculiar technique of writing, and therewith to a peculiar type of literature, in which the truth about all crucial things is presented exclusively between the lines. Although in this seminal essay Strauss neither offers a close analysis of actual surreptitious literary techniques, nor provides enough concrete examples to illustrate his point, and much of the time seems to use the term literature to cover history, philosophy, and science, the essay nevertheless clearly proposes an absorbing new way of reading creative works. Assuming, as he does, that the suppression of unorthodox opinion has occurred often throughout history, he suggests that we may therefore wonder whether some of the greatest writers of the past have not adapted their literary technique to the requirements of persecution. To read these works as they were meant to be read requires the development of the appropriate critical tools. To the best of my knowledge, Leo Strauss's suggestion has never been implemented by any critical school. I don't know of any literary movement that focuses on reading and writing between the lines, though Derrida has broached the topic, and quite a few contemporary writers and artists implement techniques of erasure and blackout. Surely no current critical school has produced a Quintilian or Cicero to taxonomize the rhetorical schemes and tropes that would allow those who desire to express unorthodox opinions to ingeniously evade decipherment and persecution. Yet returning to the rhetoricians of antiquity may be a start. A key principle of free expression rests on the supposition that exceptional writers and their intended readers are more attuned to the intricacies of language than the censor. Presumably, one might learn from such a critical method to understand and appreciate the political subtlety of Shakespeare's history plays, or perhaps decode the erotic enigmas of Gertrude Stein's Tender Buttons. Today, more than 80 years after Strauss's essay, with public support for freedom of expression in the United States waning, a phenomenon I've covered in previous forwards, and one amply documented by various polls and internet